Okay. I'm going to turn the mic up. All right. Yeah, so both East Coast and West Coast. That's good. I see a little wine. That's good. That's okay. I have my tea. Uh-oh. Is that coming from me?
No, that's actually me. Can you hear me, Jessica, or you can't hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure you can hear me. Can everybody hear me or no?
Yes. Everybody can hear me, right? Yeah, yes.
Okay, want to make sure. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I'm really excited to have all of you guys on. So we have a special guest tonight, and so I'm gonna go ahead and let her take it over because she's here. So if you guys have any questions, just put them in the chat, and Jessica will be letting us know throughout when we have questions or whatever. So welcome. Thank you so much, Dr. Stirlen. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Sure, thanks for having me. Just as a little introduction, I am a licensed psychologist. I recently moved to North Carolina, but I completed training in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and started a private practice there, and then relocated to California and lived there for about 10 years and worked for a healthcare company for quite a while, and then decided that it was time to move back to the East Coast and really pursue my passion, which is working with women, particularly busy women. And so we relocated back to North Carolina about a year ago. I've been staying at home with my kids, and I'm getting ready to relaunch a private practice that's completely teletherapy. And so I'm still licensed in California, so I can see clients in California, as well as the state of North Carolina. So my passion is really to work with women and families in relationships. And so when Sonia asked me to do this, I was really excited because it's one of the things that I have a big passion for: women, self-care, especially in our current times with everything that's happening. So I welcome your questions. I'll see what I can do to answer as many as possible, depending on how many come through. And I open dialogue as well, but I'd like to just save that portion for the end so it's not too, bounced around. But Sonia, do you want to kind of ask a couple of the questions and that, that we discussed, and then we'll save the latter portion for audience questions?
To be honest with you, I don't have them with me. Jessica, do you have those questions?
I have them. It's fine. I have.
Okay.
But first, let's do this. And I know that the audience members may not be prepared for this, but I asked Sonia to kind of be a guinea pig for me, to kind of open the door up for self-care, especially for women. This is really kind of the topic that we're addressing tonight. And I came up with this one day when I was working with some clients in my office. It kind of just struck me. And so what I'll ask each of you, if you have it nearby, if not, don't worry, you can just kind of follow along, kind of think in your mind how you would do this little mini experiment. But I asked Sonia to grab some cups, and I'm gonna do the experiment along with her to kind of show you. But you can grab Dixie cups, you can grab any kind of little cups. Mine are plastic, so I know I won't break any here. And they're clear. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill 2 of these cups with plain water. Okay, you could use wine if you want to, but I'm going to use the water for right now.
So did you want me to do both? Did you want
to fill 2 cups? Fill them up fairly full. You can. I used clear, so just so you guys can see. I'm going to set mine off camera, but you'll get the idea once we get going here. But this will be a good highlight. Again, just think along. Play along. Extra thirsty tonight.
Okay.
Okay. Now, with the extra cups, I want you to think. Thank you. I love seeing all your cups. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So in this cup, think of this as yourself, okay? As you at your best time ever. Like you're happy in relationships, you're happy in life, you have the job that you like, you're surrounded by friends and community, spiritually you feel fulfilled, family, okay, I can see some of you. Okay, so think of that. This is you with your cup full, okay, if that makes sense. Okay, now what I want you to do is I want you to take a couple of extra cups. Okay, mine are all the same. I want you to take a couple of extra cups, and I want you to think about who you pour into. You know, where do you give your time? Where do you give your energy? So I'll give a couple of examples, but I don't want to give too many away here. But let's say a big one is family. You know, okay, I spend a lot of time as a mom, very, very busy, especially we all know with homeschool right now. So we're acting as teacher and balancing everyday life. That's not necessarily what we're accustomed to. So there's a lot of stressors in there, a lot more time being poured in. So I'm just going to write on my cup here, family. Okay, so we can kind of see. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
Family. Okay. I know some of you might be muted, but go ahead and shout out what are some other bigger categories, and I'll kind of mark some of the cups for you.
Let me unmute
Work. Okay, work. You
Work.
spend a lot of time in. Okay, work. I got that one. Anything else? Wife.
Yeah, wife.
Okay, wife. So you want to separate like wife, spousal versus family into another one? It's fine with me.
Spiritual.
Spiritual. Okay. Spiritual, religious. We'll put that in one. Family, work, health. Good one. I like that one. I intended to make a different chart for you guys tonight, but I didn't have time. Okay, health. So let's go with these, at least for right now. And what we're going to do, again, I know I can't show you all without spilling all my cups of water, but I want you to think of, this is your cup, right? This is how much water we have. And I'm going to just start pouring my cup of water, all the energy, all the resources, all the stuff that I have to give into these other cups, okay? So just think, you know, how would you start pouring those cups of water? Let's see, a lot for family. Just gonna mark this, make sure I know which one I started with. Okay, spirituality. Okay, I'm gonna mark this one spouse. All right, so here's what, let's see what you came up with, Sonia. I would like to see the categories that you have, and then, you know, like a quick show of like how full your cups are.
I want to listen to it. It's pretty good stuff. Psychiatrist. Can you hear me?
I hear somebody talking.
So, okay, so you're saying to pour where I feel that I put the most time into? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. These are basically like physical representation of where you're pouring your energy, where you're pouring your time, you know, all that stuff. So, you know, my spirituality cup, family, this one's more full. I spend a lot of time here. Less time right now in work. My spouse, he's in the other room.
I know. Okay.
Health.
Do I start off with the least amount?
Any amount, it doesn't matter. Just so we can kind of get a physical representation and kind of see how it differs for different people. Hopefully you guys are following along. We're just doing a mini experiment to kind of see.
Here's spirituality. Can you see it?
Okay. Spirituality.
Can you
I'm going
see
to
it?
drink out of a different cup.
That's like a shot. I could drink that.
Okay.
Here's family.
On Zoom meetings.
Zoom. Okay. So work, is that for work? Zoom meetings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, this is family. That's someone else who said that.
Yeah, learning new skills.
Okay. Okay. So we have family. I'm going to try and scroll because I can't see everybody at the same time. Okay.
Yeah. This is work.
Okay, work. That's really full. It's getting quite a lot of time there.
That's true, right?
Okay.
And then this is spouse.
Yes. Okay. All right. And I know that a couple of you chimed in with some other things. So I want you to think now, the cup that we would have started with, I want you to take a look at this, right? Did any of you make sure in your mind, at least if you didn't follow along physically, to leave any in your cup?
Nope.
No. This is the biggest problem I see in my office with clients. women just like you and me who are very busy trying to balance everyday stressors, life, spouse, kids, extended family, the news, the media, the pandemic, everything that's happening right now. And we haven't really left anything in here, which is a big problem. And this tends to lead to aggravation, frustration, anger, and you're really kind of an inability to process things and engage with other people. So you might see that your spouse or coworkers or friends or family or people in your community are really short-sighted. They're not necessarily as open to discussions with you about things, especially with the whole Black Lives Matter that's really at the forefront of our lives right now. And so really taking the time to think about what is it that's going to refill this cup. And so that's where I have this alternative cup, right? I said we're going to start with 2 cups. I want you to think about, now these are all the categories, and these same categories can fill our cup too, but I don't always delineate them the same. So I want you to think about what are the things and what are the ways that fill your cup back up. Okay? Does anyone want to chime in? What for you makes you feel happier, relaxed? Outdoors, that's an excellent one. I love that one. There's actually a thing called nature therapy. So you can pay somebody to take you out into nature. So, I can kind of get on board if you live in a condo, but for most of us, we could go outside, even if you have to wear a mask, go outside, put your feet in the dirt, get 10 minutes of sunlight a day is really, really important. It boosts our serotonin. It makes us feel better. And getting away from that computer screen, because I know somebody did say you're spending quite a bit of time on Zoom calls, spending more time working from home. So what else? What are other things that you would say would refill your cup here? Anyone?
Going out with girlfriends.
Yes, very important. So just like we pour into our friends and those relationships, during this time, it's going to be really important for you and self-care to connect with friends, and I would be maybe a little bit pickier at this time, when you're really stressed out. I would really think of who are the positive people in your life, who are people who make you smile, who lift you up, who make you laugh, and people who, are going to kind of help you through when you're having a difficult time. And I would utilize that to fill your cup. I know that somebody had mentioned health on here. So I would look at, for self-care, exercise. So again, that can be getting outside, walking. I would really suggest something fun and enjoyable that you like, not to necessarily think of exercise like, you have to run a mile or you have to lift weights. It can be something like, playing Frisbee outside, throwing the ball with your kids, so it can be engaging at home, because I know my kids are driving me crazy right now. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old at home that I'm doing full-time homeschool. And it's really imperative that I get them outside at least an hour or 2 a day. Even if it's just, looking at trees and finding lizards, because inside they get stir crazy. We all do. And so getting outside to just run around and take a break from the computer. So again, we're talking about what are the ways to refill your cup, because again, as most women and men too, but a lot of times parents, adults are constantly pouring their cup, trying to make everyone else happy. Right. And you're like, wait a second, I have time and again, just about every single mom that comes into my office will say, I don't have anything left. Like, I have nothing left to give. I'm nursing a newborn, or I'm a first time mom, or I have 6 kids, or I have stepchildren, and I'm learning to navigate all of this. And my spouse wants my attention. And how am I supposed to be intimate when I'm just stressed out at the end of my day? What do I do? And so what's really going to be important, honestly, is, weird as it sounds, is that you're going to have to schedule it. You're going to have to prioritize those things that are really important to you, because honestly, in my house, I do have a bike here that I work out on. So if you follow me on Instagram, Dr. Amber Stirlen, you'll see, for my own accountability, I share it. It's shareable through the app. that I'm working out, even if it's 10 minutes. My husband might joke, oh, why are you getting on the bike for 5 or 10 minutes? Because I was really sedentary all day, and I feel terrible just staring at the computer screen. Because even homeschool, I have to do all the screen stuff for my kids. So really just, carving out that time and letting your family members know in the household, hey, this is my bit of time. So if it's a hot bath, listening to some meditation, or like right now, I don't know if you can see it, I have a diffuser behind me that has some aromatherapy oils. Those sorts of things can help you to wind down and pay attention to your self-care. Because again, so as you think about it, okay, so I, did a Zoom meetup call with some friends I grew up with. So that gave me a lot of energy, for the rest of the night. I could not be so aggravated in tucking my kids into bed because I got to engage with some other adults during the day. Fun things, whatever your hobbies might be. I didn't really hear anyone say that. So if you're into, I don't know, scrapbooking, or if you're into knitting, or, whatever it is that you can still do while you're at home, it's kind of just all these little things as you go along to refill your cup. But just be aware that, yes, you're filling this cup, but what else are you also doing? You're redistributing that again, right? Back into all those cups, the family, the life, the kids, so again, as you think, okay, here I am, I'm pouring it back into work. I'm pouring, oh, I just have a couple drops left, right? You need to constantly be tuned into, how full or how empty is that cup? And if it's really empty, you might need to do a couple of extra things for your self-care, and that's okay. A big thing that I see is guilt and shame. Somebody, one of the moms that I had, she had a couple children, and she just had another new baby, and she was a nurse, and she had taken, her 6-week maternity leave, and she was really feeling guilty about leaving her newborn baby at home, and family members were fine with watching the baby. And so she was in one of my mom's group therapy, and, we were really encouraging her. She missed going to the gym. It really made her feel better. And, so she did go to the gym, and one of her friends had called her, and she answered at the gym, and her friend said, well, where's your baby? And it was like crushing, right? It was like the moment that she said, it took me so much to get to the gym. And with a lot of pushing and a lot of encouraging that you don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to be ashamed of that. I mean, she wasn't neglecting her kid. She didn't leave a 6-week-old baby at home by itself, right? I mean, she made accommodations so that she could nurture herself and feel better and come back with some rest, with some, being refreshed to be a better mom to take care of the other ones around her. So, I say that as an example because all too often we are really just putting things out there and we're not tapped in, we're not tuned in. Are you getting stomach aches, cramps, headaches, fatigue? Are you relying on more alcohol at this time, or coffee, or candy, or food, or sweets, whatever those things are, because you're stressed out, right? So I want it to be in healthy, constructive ways for you. And so hopefully that kind of, that experiment kind of highlights it for you. I oftentimes will tell, moms to go home and do this experiment again, or have their spouses do it with them, as I'll kind of move into one of the other questions that Sonia asked me to talk about is, how to maintain healthy relationships and self-care. And so, when you think of having a spouse or a partner at home, how do you spend the time while taking care of yourself and promoting the relationships in your family? And I'd say one of the biggest things with the social media that I see is a constant comparison. Does anyone, find that it can be really tough? Like you're seeing, oh, happy, smiling pictures on some sites, and oh, it looks like they're making this homeschool thing look kind of easy, or what, what's wrong with me? Why is it me? Why am I at home and I'm stressed out and I'm struggling? I can't manage all these things. But the reality is that, in let's say in the past year or longer, not necessarily the most recent current weeks and time that we're facing right now, but, people see their other people's top 10%, right? So you are comparing your everyday life to everyone else's top 10%. And that's not really fair to you, right? I mean, sure, my kids scream and they tantrum and they're crying and they fight with each other, and I get frustrated and I get angry with them and need a timeout myself. Um, but I'm not necessarily posting that, right? I'm posting, okay, we did that, we worked through that. Oh, I got them smiling finally, right? After the 30th attempt at getting a picture of them doing something. And that's the final picture that you land on that maybe other people see. So it's not really representative of everyone else's struggles. And so, really, to kind of center yourself during this time, check in with yourself. How are you doing? Um, and not to constantly be comparing it against everyone else. You may want to just compare it to your norm. You know, is this how you're normally acting and feeling? Are you in a funk? Are you kind of ignoring your spouse or your partner? Or are you wanting more time and attention from your partner? You know, couples counseling, family therapy is definitely my niche. And I really love this area because there's so much room for growth. I really wish that they would teach more about this, so that we could learn how to be in fulfilling, constructive relationships with all people, you know, in society and communities. I hear somebody. I don't know. Okay. I'm not sure. Okay. I think most people are muted. Um, but yes, so, you know, finding, you know, where can you find the time for yourself? And then if you are married or you have a partner, you know, how can you really carve out that time? And a couple of things that I wanted to touch on were, you know, maybe like the top three, the top five things that I could recommend during this time is one, um, you know, tuning off of social media and screens. You know, again, a lot of people are spending more and more time in front of the screen. You could get blue light, you know, glasses. I've gotten some screen protectors that are blue light blocking, because it does mess up your circadian rhythm and getting good night's sleep, which again affects your stress and your ability to handle everyday, you know, circumstances. Um, but I would really set a timer or set a framework or boundaries with your significant other in the home and say, okay, you know, let's say for me, because my kids are younger and they go to bed at, you know, by 8:30 or 9, you know, okay, from 9 to 11, let's turn off the screens. You know, I mean, it can be an hour, it can be however, you know, you seem fit, whatever that is. If you stay up till 10, if you stay up till midnight, whatever time. Um, but I would also focus on the following things: 3 positive interactions per day. Okay, it might sound small to some, and it might seem like a lot to others, depending on how long you've been in your relationship. I see married couples, and they say, you know, sometimes they're lucky if they get a little peck on the cheek before running out the door to go to work, and other people who say, you know, we're on completely different shifts. One works in the day shift, one works at night shift, and they rarely even see each other. And so it's really hard and it's really difficult to maintain a fulfilling, satisfying, intimate relationship when you're barely committing the time or the energy and filling that other person's cup too. You know, we all have, Gary Chapman, he's a well-known therapist in couples counseling, and he talks about love bank. I don't know if any of you can shake your head yes or no. Have you heard of this term, the love bank or love tank? Yes. Okay. I see some yeses. Some are looking confused. Okay. So in essence, everybody has a love bank. There's actually a really good kids book about this too, where, you know, kids have love banks. So in order to keep your, you know, relationship positive and healthy and strong, is you want to make deposits into your partner's love bank. So if you think of it like a bank account, you know, you have to think of, what is their love language? What are the ways in which your partner feels intimate, feels connected to you? We all have different ways that we experience that. You know, it's funny, as you know, we have a boy and a girl, and my husband will pick up flowers at the store for me and my daughter. And then my son, who's 4, is like, well, where's my flowers at? You know, like, what's happening? Like, why not me? And so I told my husband, you know, you should get him some flowers too. I mean, right now he's saying that is going to fill his love bank. I mean, it may not when he's 15. He might want, you know, a video game or what, you know, whatever he's into. He's into dinosaurs right now. But just that thoughtfulness of that token of affection would fill his love bank. And so again, I know that we're conscious of like how full is our love bank or how full is, our self-care, but how are we acknowledging that the people around us have love banks too, and that includes our spouse, right? So is it physical affection? More often than not for men, it's sex, intimacy, physical affection and touch. So to kind of keep things lively, I know that domestic violence rates are up, substance abuse rates are up. The calls are coming in for my colleagues right now because people are locked up at home, and there's just a lot of stress in our lives. And so, thinking how can you kind of unwind some of that stress, and how can you pour in the positive things into your spouse, into your kids. So I want you to think about that, kind of as a mini homework, for yourself. If you're not sure, I'm not sure what makes me feel happy. I used to like, it changes over our lifespan, right? At one point you might have liked playing Barbies, and then that changed to playing outside with friends, and then video games, and then, other things in life. And now you might be really limited to some of the things that you used to do. I know a lot of women, they'll get their nails done or their hair done. Just going to the salon makes them feel good, and you get to chat for a little while, and that's part of your self-care. And now that's wiped out. So I want you to really think about what can you start implementing or putting in its place that would refill you, and spend that time, really commit to the time, put it in your planner. So, you know what, every Friday at 8 p.m., it's going to be my time. I'm going to close the door. I'm going to read that book, or I'm going to sit in a bubble bath, or whatever it is, watch my favorite show, and just unwind, and set that boundary. Because I'll tell you, you teach people how to treat you at home. And if they see that you're not treating yourself with value and worth, that you're not spending the time to say, you know what, I'm important too, I need this moment, then they probably won't leave you alone, right? They're going to look at you like, wait, what are you doing? I know for sure that when my kids were old enough to understand, when I would say, okay, we're going out on our date night tonight, and they started to put the pieces together, like, wait, where are you going? And why aren't you taking us with you? It's like, no, this is our time. This is very important for us to reconnect and to set that in the schedule, that we get a babysitter and we commit to doing it a certain number of times a month. Even if it's for an hour, even, in this time right now, even if it's 30 minutes to go out on a walk, you might say, oh, I don't know if I want to pay a babysitter to do that. I mean, it's going to come back in gold, right? I mean, if your partner is feeling more satisfied and connected to you, and vice versa, yeah, it's worth the money if you have it to spend a little bit, $15, $20, to go out and have, a free moment with your spouse or your significant other. So in thinking about some things, whenever I watch these little videos and interviews, I always find it super helpful when they have resources. So I thought that I would include some of those for you. I have added some to my website, which is linked in my Instagram on Dr. Amber Stirlen, if you want to follow that. But some of my favorites that I'll go over, they kind of relate to a lot of the things that I mentioned here for self-care, is that for about a year, I was doing what's called my Thera box, which is a curated box. I think it's about $30 a month. It depends, on the subscription, if you get like, one box at a time or for the year. And I'll say this as a disclaimer, I don't get any kickbacks from these companies at all. I just enjoy them and I love passing them along. And so my Therabox, in one of the boxes came these self-care cards, which I thought were really cute. And I keep them in my bedroom. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is actually, it says to sleep 8 hours. I mean, do you know how vital this is? This is like a big, really important one, how important sleep is and how much it affects your mood. So yes, I recently posted an article on my Facebook page that talks about moms and, that quiet hour when the kids are in bed, like mine are right now. The debate of, do I stay up and watch, a movie or my favorite show and just binge watch it for like 4 hours until midnight or 1 a.m. and just suffer that I don't get enough sleep for my son who wakes up at like 6:30 every morning? Or do I pass out at 8:30 and 9 to catch up? So it's kind of a balance. I play with it. I say, for a couple nights, I'll get the 8 hours. And and then I might switch and say, okay, I'm going to stay up because it's where I fulfill, that self-care time. But anyhow, it has a bunch of them. Reflect on seven happy moments, pamper your body. They're kind of just nice reminders. And so you can kind of pull one out and say, okay, well, I don't really know what should I do today? What can I do? These are really easy. They're not expensive things to do, but just being really mindful. Your mindset's really important during this time. So that's from my TheraBox. I think it was curated by them. It wasn't created by a different company. Another resource that I give during my mom's group is this book. It's on Amazon. It's called Present, Not Perfect, a journal for slowing down, letting go, and loving who you are. Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's on my website. But it's really, you don't have to go in any particular order, but it's really colorful. It's a really small book. It talks about self-care, and it's fun. It's fun to do, to just kind of check in, whether you do it at night before you're going to bed or when you wake up or on your lunch break. Or I keep mine to kind of glance at. I have a couple different ones, but I keep it where I put my makeup on. So it reminds me every day to kind of check in. So there's that. And then this one for relationships. This is a really, really good, easy read. It's called Mindful Relationship Habits. And this talks about 25 tips of what you can do in your relationship. And I did mention a couple of those today. It does go into detail a little bit of the love bank, and Gary Chapman's famous for his 5 love languages. I mentioned the flowers thing, and that's one of the love languages is gifts of affection. One is quality time. One is physical affection. Those are just some of them. So it has a lot of really good information here, and it's outlined well. So I really like this. It tells you how to build closeness and connection with your partner. And then as a special, because I knew I was going to be talking to you all, I reached out to a couple of really small businesses, and they've offered a 15% discount for anyone who's joining or watching. So one is, again, with self-care, I mentioned bubble baths, but Woodbury Company, they make these really beautiful, luxurious soaps. I have to show you. They smell amazing. They're all organic. So you can have 15% off if you enter the code Dr. Amber 15. So write that down. Again, don't feel guilty. Don't feel ashamed. If you want to splurge a little bit to have a nice bath, a nice shower, they smell amazing. Just opening this, I've cut some samples for people because I'm like, oh, you have to try this. They're so awesome. Okay, so that's Woodbury Co. Again, I don't know, Sonia, can you put these in the links just so people have them? I know that they're offering the 15% off for anyone for the next week. And then this other company, it's a mom who kind of pursued her interest in self-care, and we kind of connected on that a while back. And she's called Me Time Botanicals, and I really like her products. They're all natural. And I have this little it's like a clay mask. It's really, I don't know if you can see it. It's really good for traveling. It's about two, I've used it a couple times, so it's more than 2 worths. But anyhow, she's got a lot of fun things on her website, and she's also offering 15% off. She said for the rest of the month, this month, Me Time Botanicals. And she has this cute little mini sample set. I think it's like $25. And again, the codes are Dr. Amber 15, DRAMBER 15. You can pass the code out. Again, I don't get any kickbacks. I just thought, it'd be fun to kind of pass along and maybe give you a little push to say, you know what, maybe I can do a little something extra for myself over the course of this stressful time, or gift it to somebody, gift it to a mom, gift it to your mom, gift it to a friend. So I'll kind of leave it there. What questions do you guys have?
Let's open it up. Jessica, does anybody have any questions? I can unmute you. Josie, you have a question? Okay. Let me unmute her.
Okay, let me see if I can scroll. I don't think she's on video.
She's on the Zoom.
Oh, okay. I don't, I'm sorry.
I know, like,
Josie, we can't hear you.
Just a quick question. For the last about 6 years, we've been going on a family vacation, all within California, like Southern California. The kids and myself and my husband, all four of us. But I think I feel really guilty. They're older. They're 11 and 9 now. And we're thinking about doing a San Francisco trip or something like that. But I feel really guilty leaving my kids behind because we always done it as a family. Should I feel guilty?
Should you feel guilty?
What is? We always done it together as a family since they were about, I don't know, 4 or 5, and now they're older. I'm like, wow, maybe it's time for them to stay at grandma's house. And I feel like I said yes, but my husband says, no, they're still young. We should take them with us. I'm like, maybe we should just come and have our time instead of our family time.
Okay, so I mean, it can be a complicated question or it can be a really simple one. You know, the simple, straightforward question or answer that I would give you is to think about, you know, is this important for you and your husband? You know, do you really desire and long for, you know, a couple nights away where you have privacy, where you have time to just do whatever you want? If you want to lay in bed all day, if you want to, you know, drink all day, I mean, whatever you want to do, right? It's your choice because you don't have, you know, dependents looking at you to take care of them when you're trying to relax. I mean, I call it a family trip when we go away. I don't call it a vacation because it's like boot camp, right? At least mine when they're little, it's not so much relaxing. So I would think about, you know, if this is a vacation where you and your husband want time to connect, and that means kid-free, you know, does it have to be the same exact vacation spot that your family goes to? You know, maybe you pick a different spot that's special or sentimental to just you and your husband, where your kids don't see it as, hey, wait a second, I thought this was kind of our special thing and our special place. So there's there's a number of ways to address it. I would say, you know, my husband and I in California, we really didn't have a lot of support. And, you know, our kids, when they were really little, we didn't leave them at all, you know, and so when we moved back here where we were really close to my extended family, my mother-in-law, and I felt safe and trustworthy to leave them overnight with somebody. I mean, if you have a family member or a nanny or a really trusted babysitter, or, you know, something like that, you know, I think it's individual as far as your comfort level in leaving kids overnight or extended periods of times. And, you know, sort of just a personal thing, I'd say, certainly you don't have to feel guilty, right? You're entitled to take time away. You're entitled to take the time that you need to replenish your marriage, and your marriage is the foundation for a family, you know? And I think it's important for kids to see parents, whether they're step parents, whether they're, you know, adopted, you know, whatever it is. I think that it's important for kids to see the people raising them as separate and independent of them, and that they're not entitled to 100% of their time. I'm not saying that our kids aren't important or that they aren't valuable or, you know, that we need to spend our time with them. I think it's the opposite. We're spending a lot of time with them, and now they demand so much from us that we feel guilty when we walk away or spend some time away. So yeah, I mean, I know that's kind of a long answer, but hopefully gives you some reassurance that I think if you want your marriage to last long term after your kids leave your house, I think that it's important to spend time together for, you know, over more than 24 hours.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Anybody else? I know they were messaging back and forth through the chat.
Self-care. I can't see the chat. I've got 2 different screens up, and I don't want to be distracted looking at it. So feel free to unmute. Yes. So
I'll read it. So we have a couple people that are saying, I have adult kids at home and I make them in charge of dinner one night a week, even if they buy us dinner. Then someone.
I love that idea. It's great.
Time to you and your husband, they're good hands with grandma. Somebody said, I feel guiltier now that my kids are older leaving them, but it is something that always keeps our marriage happy, but it has been getting harder. Somebody said, honestly, sometimes they don't even want to go.
Well, I mean, I don't, this could be split from the audience. I mean, there's a lot of different cultures who either agree or don't agree with sleepovers, sleep outs, or sleep-ins. I was raised in an Asian family where my mom, like, it was really unheard of. She never wanted me to go to sleepovers. And so I felt like I really missed out in some of those ways of like friend dynamics. But if you do have sleepovers for your kids, even if it's not right now in this pandemic, you know, maybe that's an association for them. Like, hey, you know, they sometimes want some friend time alone, away from you, you know, and it's not just because you're doing something different doesn't mean that it's negative towards them, right? It's not necessarily like we don't love you as much, so we don't want to take you. It's more so like our relationship is vital and our time alone is important to us. And so we want to spend that time together.
What else? What else do you got?
We have a grandma that said, I love what you're saying. I totally agree. Lots of kids want to spend time with grandma. I'm a grandma and I want to make special moments with my grandkids. So it's definitely important to have them with their grandma and grandpa too.
For sure. I think my in-laws feel the same way. You know, they really do enjoy that time to spoil the kids. And of course, they're happy to see us when we get home. But it was only, you know, maybe in the past year that my husband and I went away and felt comfortable enough to leave them for 2 nights or 3 nights. So yeah, it's a challenge, but again, find other women who you connect with, find your, you know, community of women who are strong and who you want to be like, strive to be like, and who support you. You know, not the ones who are the naysayers who are going to bring you down or criticize or make offhanded comments about why you're doing this or that. If it's important for you, if it's important for your relationship because it fills your cup, that's what you need to be connected to. Everybody's different. We all feel love and connections in different ways. And so I want you to really identify for yourself, where are your boundaries? You know, if you need, you know, 1 date night a week, then do that. If you or your spouse need, you know, an hour every day of alone time. Like, I'm a person, I do like alone time. It's not that I don't want to be with other people or that I get annoyed and I just really kind of like being in the quiet sometimes. And so again, you know, really look at what is it for you where you get self-care, and tune into that.
Absolutely.
I have one person with a question. They said, should date night be out of the house? There's only 3 people in our home.
Oh, well, I guess it depends on what you want to do on your date night, right? I mean, I could think of a few things certainly that you could do at home. It's not, you know, out at a restaurant. However, you know, when I talk to couples about taking date nights, typically there are some ground rules. And while none of us are perfect at sticking to these ground rules, it's no talking about kids, no talking about work, or any of those other stressful things. And this can be tricky because honestly, most of my day is time spent with my kids. So like, what the heck am I going to talk about? Like, my life's kind of boring if I'm not talking about them, right? So you really have to think about, and you don't want to just be consumed by stressful things. There's a lot going on right now, and it's very important to have those discussions. Okay. I mean, my husband and I are very immersed in some platforms and forums and really digging deep in ourselves, in our education, in the Black Lives Matter movement. And it can be really tough, right? But I wouldn't call that a date night because we're spending time talking about that. I call that time for us to talk, right? But if we and you and your significant other want to think of date night is how I would describe it in a counseling session, you really want it to be something focused on positive stuff. So if you have a shared common, you know, hobby or something that you both like, I don't know, you can kind of put your hand up. Has anyone seen The Tiger King?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So people are laughing. So I imagine you have, right? So it's like the car wreck that you don't want to stop watching, kind of. And so, it like gives you something to do together. So yeah, you can do date nights at home. There's actually, it's funny. I can't remember why I did this. There was some reason why I signed up, but I did sign up for, it's called Date Night in a Box. I don't get it anymore, because we weren't getting the opportunity to get out of our house. So I thought, oh, I'll just get these subscription boxes for Date Night in a Box. And so they're little activities for you to do. It comes with like ingredients, or it comes with like a meal that you're supposed to prepare together, or like a puzzle to do, or, they're little activities so you don't have to leave your house. So yeah, I mean, if that person's going to overhear you, they're going to be in your space. I wouldn't necessarily recommend date night at home. I really want you to think of, just as important it is for you to get out and go to the gym, or just as important it is for you to get up and go to your work or your job, prioritize your relationship, whether that's with yourself or with your husband or your spouse, your significant other, and say, you know what, this is important. We want to take a break away, because when I'm at home, I can't help but think, oh shoot, I got to turn the laundry over, or the kids left this stuff out on the floor, right? So yeah, I'm enjoying conversation, and my husband when the kids are asleep, but there's still what I label as the mental load that you're carrying a whole lot more at home than you are if you can be in a separate neutral environment. So treat yourself. Go somewhere different. Go, find a park, go find a lake or a pond or something to go put your feet in. But yeah, I mean, you can do it at home, but I would recommend, if it's possible, to get out.
Cool. Thank you. Does anybody else have anything else they want to bring up?
Self-care, relationships.
Yeah, I think
somebody commented that's 100%. A lot of people don't agree with us leaving kids. I don't know why they think they have a say.
Most of my vacations.
They don't have kids. That's why they say that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to take time away, and it's hard. I mean, I love my kids to death. They are wonderful, amazing, and I spend the majority of my time. So, again, like 6 months ago before the pandemic, and if my husband and I would be out to like decent dinner, my kids get a screen because it's the only dinner I had out that month, or it's the only time that my husband's home from work and we get to sit and we get to have an adult conversation uninterrupted, and other people might see that when you're out at a restaurant and say, oh, well, look at them, they're bad parents, their kids are just on their screen all day, when in fact I've been playing with my kids and doing things with my kids while I'm at home, and the chance that I'm going to pay for a dinner out, I want to eat my dinner while it's hot, and I don't want to be answering 8,000 questions. So yeah, I mean, I think it's important to surround yourself with moms and people who get you and who can support you, whether it is in different opinions. Some people will say, you know what, I'll never leave my kids with somebody else, and that's okay. We're all going to parent differently.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Stirlen. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure everyone else can agree. Thank you so much. Like you said, a lot of times we feel guilty just spending the time, on ourselves, or spending extra money on ourselves, or a lot of times, that's just how we feel. It's just natural,
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, looking at these cups, it's definitely an eye opener. So like she said, I do definitely recommend all of you guys try it, and have your spouses try it too. And but you do need that time. You definitely need that time in any relationship. You gotta water it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
remember, really positive interactions to your significant other. Fill your partner, your kids, love banks, and don't forget your own. So if you missed out on the beginning, I know a couple of people joined in late, but we talked about filling a cup of water as representing you and yourself, filling it full, and then pouring it into other categories like work, family, spirituality, friends, whatever else is going on in your life that you spend your time in. Fill all those cups up and see how much you have remaining. And if you see that it's really low, then you need to do something to refill your cup. And that's hobbies, exercise, eating well, taking care of yourself, treating yourself to something nice, and not feeling guilty about it. So yes, please take that to heart. It's kind of fun to see where you end up. And then I know there's a spoiler, because most often when I do this with women alone in the counseling session, I think 100% of the time their own cup is always empty. So it's like, oh wait, yeah, I did pour my entire cup out. I didn't even think to keep anything for myself. And men do the same thing too. But it really is kind of a gentle reminder to keep filling your cup. I think I saw a question. It happened to pop up this time. I see some of the people who are making comments on the Zoom. Yes, I am launching an online counseling only practice this coming fall. And again, I specialize in treating women who really struggle with a work-family life balance, and helping them to create a life that they don't want to take a vacation from. So, I am licensed in the state of California, so I can see anyone in the state of California. And then as soon as the state exam testing centers reopen here, I will be licensed in North Carolina as well. But please, you can find me on Instagram, Dr. Amber Stirlen, Stirlen, or you can find me on Facebook. I haven't been super active because I have been at home full time, and there's lots going on. So thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate it. I hope that you have each found something to take away from this, and that you will be marking those calendars to spend some time, quality time on yourself and those around you. And that there's light, and you take really good care during this time.
Thank you so much again, Dr. Stirlen. So we'll give them your information. If they would like to, reach you out directly.
Thank you.
For your services. Thank you again so much. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. You guys take care. Thank you guys so much.
Sure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Don't hang up yet, please.
I can stay. Okay, I can stay.